welcome to my video of how to make a stropping block. Before we get into the how-to part of the video, I just want to go over a couple things with a stropping block versus a knife sharpener. With a knife sharpener, as you see here, this is just a diamond knife sharpener. When you're sharpening your knife, you're actually removing material from your knife. With a stropping block or a piece of leather, and for demonstration only, this is just an old belt that I cut up for the stropping belt that we're going to be making. You're not removing metal, you're honing it, you're getting the burrs off. So, long story short, with a stropping block or any kind of piece of leather, what have you, it will make your blade sharper and it will last a lot longer. So hence to say, you don't really need to have a knife sharpener in your pack if you're going out for a week, for the night. You just have to have a stropping block in there, which in return, it's a lot lighter than a knife sharpener, even if you just carried a piece of leather instead of the block itself. What a lot of people do is that they'll end up sharpening their knives too much, and yeah, it'll get it sharp, but they won't strop them at all, and your blade won't last as long. Now usually, typically a blade will last pretty much almost a lifetime if you properly take care of them. But if you want the best edge on your knife, you want to strop them. So with that said, let's get to the how-to part of this video. I'm going to go over the stropping block materials that you'll need. Obviously you're going to need a block, and in this case this is about 3/4 inch thick. The length is approximately 5 inches because that's pretty much the longest knife that I carry in the field, unless if it's a machete, which that's a whole different topic. Leather wise, this is just a piece of leather belt that I cut, and the length of it is going to be longer than your block, as you can see here. And the reason why is after when we glue this down, we'll end up taking a knife and we'll end up cutting the excess off. And you'll also notice that this block is thicker, and the reason why is so when we glue it, and if any glue squeezes out on the side, we have a leeway of just trimming that down. Glue wise, you can use epoxy. In this case, I'm just going to be using this Gorilla Glue. You're going to need another piece of wood, which is going to be bigger than your block. This is going to be for the press. So when we put this on here, when we glue this to here, we'll put this onto the block, and then we'll clamp it down, so this way you'll have a nice even clamping, and it won't be kind of wrinkled up like so in spots. It'll be nice and flat. And then obviously you're going to need your clamps to do the clamping. Now since I'm using the Gorilla Glue again, I'm going to have to dampen this wood a little bit per instructions. So I'm going to dampen this real quick. A little bit more. So you got it nice and damp. And then I'm going to take my glue, and you only have to use a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of, just a nice little bead, like so. You'll want to dampen this, the smooth side of your leather. And then you just kind of spread it out a little bit like so. Take your clamp or your other piece of wood, and you just kind of clamp it down. So it's nice and tight. You'll have to adjust the wood here just a little bit, just so this way it's not totally flush, like so. Don't clamp it down too tight right off the get-go. Make sure everything's all adjusted. As you can see, there's still a lot of play on both sides, so if I had to trim, I can just clamp it all down. I highly recommend to use F-clamps. These things are great to have in your shop for any project. And then we'll just let it sit until when it's all ready. Well, I already unclamped it, so this is basically what it kind of looks like. As you can kind of see, you got the glue squeeze that came out. That's why I've kept this wider, and this is why I kept this longer too, as I explained earlier. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to cut or trim the leather off like so. Just run my blade right next to it, so this way it's nice and flush. Obviously, you do it to both sides. And now it's nice and flush for you. And then I'll just go outside and I'll just trim this down right here with the saw off my table saw, and just adjust the blade, so this way it'll kind of be nice and flush. Okay, now with the stropping block, it's just like a sharpening stone, but there's just one big difference with it. I mean, when you strop it, you can go this way, but you're going to use the risk of cutting up your leather. So what you'll do is you'll find your angle and you'll drag it, or you'll push it, and then you'll pull like so. Find your angle and just kind of go along with like so. And you can use compound, like buffing compound on here, or they make compound especially for sharpening knives. You can use baking soda, toothpaste, what have you. Also, when you go, for example, when you're going this way, I went twice, you're going to repeat the same amount of time going the opposite way. Once again, here's the stropping block. As you can see, I didn't take care of the sides right here yet. I'm going to have to run outside and do that with the saw real quick, and then put it in my pack after I get done stropping my knives. I want to thank you once again for watching. Please subscribe, please share, and don't forget to get out there and get some dirt time in.